Look at a French Bulldog. That flat face, those satellite dish ears, the compact muscular body that snores through an entire afternoon nap. You're looking at one of the most beloved dogs in the world. People are obsessed with them, and honestly, it's not hard to see why. But behind that undeniably charming exterior is a story worth telling. Because the Frenchie we know today is a very different animal from the one this breed started as. And understanding how that happened says a lot about our relationship with dogs and what we might want to do differently going forward until it is too late. The French Bulldog's roots go back to 1800s England, where small bulldogs were kept by lace makers in Nottingham as purely companions. When many of those workers relocated to Normandy during the Industrial Revolution, the dogs came with them. In France, the breed mixed with local terriers and ratters developed those now iconic upright bat ears and became enormously fashionable, first among Parisian market traders and artisans, then quickly catching the attention of artists, writers, and high society across Europe and America. Pull up photographs of French bulldogs from that era, and you'll notice something interesting. The breed is recognizable. The ears are there, the sturdy frame, but the face is noticeably different. There's a proper muzzle. The dog has a defined neck. It looks, for lack of a better word, more like a conventional dog. Structurally, it could breathe without any difficulty, exercise without overheating, and live a fairly uncomplicated physical life as companion dogs. That version of the breed, through decades of shifting tastes and selective breeding, has largely disappeared. As the 1900s progressed, and particularly from the 1980s onward, the features that breeders and buyers found most appealing began to drift in a particular direction. Flatter faces, rounder, larger skulls, shorter legs, a more exaggerated, compact build. These traits were selected for over generations because people wanted them, and the breed gradually moved further and further from its origins as a result. The consequences of that drift are now well documented in veterinary research, along with other breeds like the pug. The key condition at the center of it is called brachycephalic obstructive airway syndrome. Brachycephalic simply means short-headed, and it describes what happens when a skull is selectively compressed while the soft tissue inside doesn't shrink to match. The airway becomes obstructed. Nostrils narrow. The soft palate elongates and partially blocks the throat, with the trachea sometimes being undersized. Breathing, which should be effortless, becomes a constant low-level effort. This is why French bulldogs snore and wheeze, and why when it's a warm day or on a brisk walk, they can be left struggling in a way that other breeds simply don't experience. They can't pant as efficiently, which means they overheat more quickly. It's something owners learn to manage, but it's worth being clear that it isn't just a quirk. It's a structural limitation that affects the dog's daily life. The breathing is the most visible issue, but it isn't the only one. The same selective pressures that produce the flat face also introduce problems further down the body. French bulldogs have an elevated rate of hemivertebrae, malformed vertebrae with a wedge shape rather than a normal cylindrical one. When these occur in the spine, they can press on the spinal cord and cause pain, weakness, or in more serious cases, mobility problems. Part of their structure too also means most Frenchies can't swim at all. Then there's reproduction. The French Bulldog's large round head, shaped over generations to maximize that baby-faced appearance people find so appealing, means that puppies are typically too large to be born naturally. The vast majority of litters require a cesarean section, not as a precaution, but as a practical necessity. It's one of the more striking examples of how far the breed has shifted from what would occur in nature. Eye problems are common too, given how prominent and exposed the eyes have become. Skin fold infections are a recurring issue. Dental crowding is frequent because the jaw has shortened faster than the teeth have. A large-scale study published in Canine Medicine and Genetics in 2022 found French Bulldogs significantly more prone to a broad range of health conditions than other breeds, and noted that the healthiest individuals tended to have longer muzzles and less extreme features. Closer, in other words, to what the breed originally looked like. But how did we get here? The short answer is popularity. French Bulldogs became the most registered breed in the UK in 2018, overtaking Labradors for the first time. In the US, they topped the American Kennel Club charts for several consecutive years. Celebrities were photographed with them. They took over social media. And with that popularity came significant commercial incentive. Frenchies are expensive dogs, routinely selling for thousands of pounds or dollars, which encouraged rapid, high-volume breeding, not always with health as the priority. The economics matter here. When a single litter can generate enormous returns, the temptation to prioritize output over welfare becomes very real. Puppy farms and backyard breeders entered the market in large numbers, drawn by the price tags and the seemingly limitless appetite from buyers. For many of these operations, health testing was an inconvenience rather than a commitment. When demand outpaces responsible practice, corners get cut. Health testing gets skipped. Dogs with significant breathing problems get bred anyway because they have the look buyers want. Buyers, often unaware of what they're signing up for in terms of veterinary costs and the dog's day-to-day limitations, keep purchasing. The market, in effect, rewarded the features that were causing the problems and punished no one for it. That said, the picture isn't entirely bleak. Responsible breeders do exist. People who health screen rigorously, breed for moderate conformation, and actively push back against the more extreme trends. Organizations like the French Bulldog Health Scheme in the UK are making genuine progress in establishing clearer standards and encouraging buyers to ask the right questions before purchasing. Some kennel clubs have begun revising breed standards to explicitly steer away from the most exaggerated features. The conversation around brachycephalic breeds more broadly is shifting. In veterinary circles, in the media, and increasingly among the public. Slowly, but meaningfully. If you have a French Bulldog, none of this is meant as a personal criticism. These are wonderful, characterful, deeply lovable dogs, and owners who are attentive to their health can give them a very good life. The point isn't that French Bulldogs can't be happy. Many clearly are. It's more that we owe it to them to be honest about what we've created and to think carefully about where the breed goes from here. Asking better questions, supporting breeders who prioritize health, and understanding what you're taking on before you bring one of these dogs home. All of that makes a real difference. The dog in those old photographs, the one with the longer face and the easy breathing, wasn't less of a French Bulldog. In many ways, it was a healthier one. The good news is that knowing that gives us something to work with. And we're already seeing positive signs that the tide is beginning to turn. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe and suggest any ideas for future videos on your favorite dogs. See you soon!